Feed Your Family Tonight podcast. Each week, we are serving up motivation and inspiration to help you get weeknight dinner on the table, letting you recapture a little calm in the crazy. And now, your host, speaker, author, and married mother of four, Mariefiebach.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast, episode 122. Today, we're going to talk about 4 tips for busy weeks. Last week, if you were following my Insta stories, was just a really extra busy week. I had a lot going on with my work. It was the week that I did recipe testing and video production. It was one of those freak weeks where everything all fell into the same week. That made for a busy mama. I also had extra things like parent-teacher conferences at school. And when you have 2 kids in the same school with 8 teachers each, parent-teacher conferences is a game of Tetris that takes a lot of brain power. Now, I knew this going into the week. My husband and I on Sunday afternoons go through and we sync all of our calendars. I have to admit that I am a pen and paper person, and I love my day planner, and I love using a paper calendar. But we also sync it with my digital work calendar and our family's digital calendar. It's a really important exercise that we do. And so as we're going through this, I knew that it was going to be a very busy week. And I planned for it. Feeding your family when you are personally busy or when your family's life is extra busy can be really overwhelming. And many of us resort to the drive-thru. And I'm not saying never hit the drive-thru, although I think that there's a lot of great ways to avoid the drive-thru. And today I'm going to just kind of talk about how you can prepare for an extra busy week for feeding your family. I have 4 great tips for you. The first one is always feed your family tonight. I'm going to say plan. And I know planning takes a little bit of time. I know that it takes a little bit of effort, but just 15, 20 minutes up front can save you hours on the back end, and it can save you a lot of aggravation and brain space. And I feel like that brain space is really important on busy weeks because we often just get into get everything done mode and our brains don't have time to rest. That totally happened to me last week. My brain did not have time to rest. And by Friday night, 8 o'clock, I was in bed ready to go to sleep for 10 hours. It just takes a lot of brain space when we're extra busy, but spending a little time planning up front is going to free up so much brain space. So use the Feed Your Family Tonight weekly meal planning sheet. If you do not have a copy of that, you can get it in the notebook on Amazon. Just search on Amazon, Feed Your Family Tonight notebook, and it has been discounted lately, so that's been really good. Get the notebook or get the free printable download. It's free at feedyourfamilytonight.com/plan. On that weekly meal planning sheet, it talks about looking at your schedule and your activities and thinking about your energy levels for the week. And on weeks that you know are going to be busy, it takes a little bit more planning, but it will help you so much on the back end. Usually when I plan, I really think mainly about the dinners, and we kind of have a standard rotation of things that I keep around for breakfasts and lunches. But when I am heading into an extra busy week, I often think a little bit more about our breakfasts and our lunches, because if I don't, I end up just grabbing random pieces of junk and I don't feed myself well. And when life is extra busy, that is when you need to fuel yourself extra well anyway. So I kind of think a little bit about my breakfasts and my lunches. I also look at our activities and what life is going to be like, and I set that dinner bell. Now, I've talked about this before in other episodes. Setting the dinner bell is your target time when you are going to eat. And on busy weeks, at least in my home, that often means that we're going to be eating in shifts, because that usually means that I've got different parts of the family moving at different rates. And that's part of what makes the week feel extra busy. And so I need to think about what meals are we going to be eating in shifts and I need to plan meals that work well in shifts, when you are trying to feed your family at different times at night, you want to think about foods that can be in the oven, that can be just kept on warm, foods that are in your slow cooker that everybody can take out their portion when they're available to eat, or foods that reheat well. You fix them, have them ready for the first round of family that has to eat, and then the late plates can come in and just reheat it. But you don't want to plan just any kind of meal for a shift meal. You want a shift meal to have the kinds of foods that can sit well at warm or can reheat well. The second part of planning is you need to do that prep work where you are grocery shopping. And if you're heading into a busy week, this may be the time to schedule a grocery delivery or a grocery pickup so that you don't have to physically waste your time walking through the store. It's a kind of a personal preference thing, but if there ever was a time to use grocery delivery or grocery pickup on busy weeks, that is definitely the time. The other thing is you may want to prep a few foods in advance. Now, I am never going to be one of those people that says spend all day Saturday prepping all of your meals. I am never going to be the girl with 15 beautiful, perfect packages of salads ready for me to pull out all week long for my lunches and my dinners. I'm not talking like intense meal prepping sessions, but I am talking about things like what I do, where I make a nice batch of turkey sausage, sometimes even have it cooked, so all I have to do is reheat it in the microwave. Or maybe I'll make a breakfast casserole that I can eat for breakfast, or more often than not, will eat at lunchtime so that I can have a quick and easy food to feed myself during the extra busy week. I don't want you to think about a giant prep session, but you might want to think about doing a little bit of prep, and that kind of goes with that planning, which again is the first tip for busy weeks. My second tip for busy weeks is to let the grocery store take care of some of your prep. Spend a little bit of money and buy your shortcuts. In a way, you're kind of buying time by letting the grocery store do some of the work for you. Now, I have to say, I'm usually a very cost-conscious shopper, and I am a bargain shopper, but there are times where it's okay to spend maybe just a little bit more to have a piece of the work done for you. And that can be as simple as buying baby carrots rather than buying whole carrots that you have to peel and cut into carrot sticks. Buying a rotisserie chicken is a great way to have easy protein for lots of different meals on a busy week. Buying washed greens in the box or the bag so that you can have quick and easy salads. Or my friend Courtney, she buys a veggie tray, like a pre-made veggie tray with dip and everything at the beginning of the week. And at snack time, she just pulls the veggie tray out, sets it on the table. Everybody picks at the veggies and the dip, and then she puts it back in the refrigerator, and they eat on that veggie tray all week. These are just little shortcuts that you can quote unquote buy that will make your life easier on a busy week. Another thing that is very often overlooked is use the butcher in the grocery store to the full potential that they offer. I know Kroger and Whole Foods will cook your fish for you. So maybe you want to have them cook a few fillets of salmon so that you can have some easy proteins to throw on salads or to have for quick meals. You might want to have them cook up some shrimp or some scallops for you, but they will cook your fish for you. Whole Foods will even smoke it for you, which is delicious. So think about letting the butcher do a little bit of the work for you. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that at least at Dillon's, which is our local Kroger, but I'm pretty sure most Krogers will do this, is if you are buying a piece of meat out in like the regular part of the grocery store and it's not cut how you want it cut, they will actually cut it for you. So you can go back to the butcher counter and you can hand them your package of boneless, skinless chicken breasts and say, I want these cut into 1-inch pieces. And they will cut it into 1-inch pieces while you do the rest of your grocery shopping. You can come back around, pick them up, and you have your chicken already pre-cut for you. One thing my mother does with this all the time is she will buy a whole pork loin and have them chop it into boneless pork chops. So you can take that pork loin and have it cut into smaller pieces of boneless pork chops. let the butcher do what they're there to do and really use the fullness of the services that are at the grocery store. The other kind of often overlooked place is the deli. Now, I don't like to do too much at the deli because it's a lot of food that is a little more processed than I like to serve my family on a regular basis. But on a busy week, when I can get fried chicken at the grocery store for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost me to get fried chicken at a fast food store for my family of 6, get it from the deli. Our deli has a really good Chinese takeout section. Again, way less expensive than buying it from a restaurant. And you have it there. It's cooked. It's ready to go. But on busy weeks, letting the grocery store do some shortcuts. Think about buying single-serve snacks for busy weeks. Yes, it costs a little more because of the packaging, but you have single-serve snacks ready to give your kids, ready to give yourself when you're running from place to place on busy weeks. Look at the frozen food section. You can buy pre-cooked grilled chicken breasts to put on top of salads or to put in some quesadillas. Buy some meatballs. Put it with a jar of spaghetti sauce and some boiled up noodles, and you have spaghetti and meatballs, and you don't have to make the meatballs. Our favorite kind of shortcut is pot stickers. Our family loves to eat pot stickers. It only takes a few minutes to cook them on the skillet, and that's kind of a treat for our family. And on a busy week, it's nice to have a little bit of a treat too. My dear friend in Wisconsin, she loves a good frozen lasagna. And that is kind of a shortcut meal for her. The grocery store is there to help you, and there are lots of ways that you can quote unquote buy back your time by getting things that are pre-cut, pre-chopped, pre-cooked. Start thinking of the things that you'd like to have and see if there's an option there that the grocery store can help give you a shortcut. Tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to use your freezer stash. How many of us do that cook once, eat twice philosophy? I am a big fan of it. You know that I make my taco meat 12 pounds at a time, and I often have cooked chicken and chicken broth in my freezer. I love having a freezer stash. And if you're like me and have a bit of a freezer stash, you're saving it for a day that's going to be busy. But sometimes we feel a little guilty using it, thinking, oh, it's not quite busy enough this week. I need to save it for a busier day. No, we have busy times and we need to use our freezer stash for those busy times. So if you are having a busy week, this is the time. You have prepared for this by creating your freezer stash, and I want you to use it. Tip number 3. Tip number 4, plan on using backup meals as your main idea for dinner. I've talked before about how the magic of the Feed Your Family Tonight system is in that A, always have a backup. And a backup meal is any meal that you can get on the table in 20 minutes or less with ingredients that you have in the house all the time. I've talked about some of my favorite backup meals of chicken noodle soup, where I have chicken meat and chicken broth in my freezer, and all I have to do is boil some noodles and put it all together 20 minutes and dinner's on the table. I love making bean and cheese quesadillas, where I've got tortillas and a can of refried beans, a little bit of shredded cheese, put those together on the griddle, serve it with some cut up fruit or a salad or some frozen veggies. Dinner's on the table in 20 minutes or less. When you are walking into an extra busy week, you may intentionally put some of those backup meals as your intended dinner for the night. There is nothing wrong with that. Backup meals don't have to just be backups. When I had my busy week last week, I was doing some recipe testing, and I was planning on fixing dinner one night that was going to take a little bit longer because I needed to test the recipe. And the next night I had planned chicken noodle soup. But you know what? That first day got to be a little busier than I even expected it to be. And I didn't have time to sit and do the recipe testing. So I flip-flopped 2 days of my meals. And instead of serving the Mongolian beef that I was testing on whatever day it was, probably Tuesday, I served it on Wednesday, and I had Wednesday's meal, which was a planned backup meal of chicken noodle soup, served it on Tuesday, No big deal. My son complained a little bit because he really likes Mongolian beef, and when he found out he was having chicken noodle soup instead, he was not the happiest. But you know what? Everybody was fed, and that was okay. And that's the other thing on busy weeks is when we hit busy weeks or busy seasons, everything is not going to be ideal. Everything is not going to be perfect. And sometimes you have to make compromises. And that's okay, because feeding your family is enough. Over the course of the weeks and the months of the years, you can get the balance back. But on busy weeks, it's okay to plan ahead. Let the grocery store do some of your shortcuts. Use your freezer stash and don't be afraid to plan on those backup meals. I want to hear what you do and what foods you go to when life is extra busy. We'll talk about this in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group. I would love for you to join me over there, and we can talk about how we get through feeding our family on busy weeks. So for now, friends, thanks so much for joining me. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Feed Your Family Tonight podcast with your host, Mariefiebach. If you like the show and want to know more, please visit feedyourfamilytonight.com. And if you'd like to help support the show, please leave a rating or review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It helps spread the word that you can feed your family tonight.